Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Logical Nonsense Podcast. Tyler, the creator, has dropped, and we've got NFL midseason awards. What more could you ask in a podcast? All right, starting right into the Chromacopia, my initial thoughts. I'm listening to this album about 3 or 4 times now, all the way through. It's been really solid album, man. I really appreciate the time Tyler took into this. I really appreciate the amount of lyricism poured into this project. I think that's something that I can appreciate with Tyler is his storytelling ability, and he was A+ in this one. I enjoy this project. I continue to enjoy it more every time I listen to it. All right, Chromacopia, starting with Saint Chroma. Chromacopia. This feels like the anthem song. It's a great start off intro song into the album. I feel like it feels like boot camp. It feels like Tyler really starting the mood, setting the atmosphere for the album. A lot of whispering, making it feel devious. I love the soft vocals that come in, brings a little bit of lightness, brings a little bit of hope with that Daniel Caesar vocals sprinkled in there as well. And then the gnarly beat drop brings this feeling of panic, and Tyler drops this nice solid verse. Great start to the album. This was kind of one of the promo songs that we heard, and I think it's a memorable intro song. It's not my favorite song by any means on the album, but I think it's a very solid intro song and one that I'll definitely remember. Transitioning into Ratata, this is your more intense Tyler rapping his ass off song, and I love it. I think, it's got this catchy chorus to it. I think Tyler's intensity, his fierce, raw verse on this is extremely memorable. It makes you feel like a dog, makes you feel like you gotta get a little lip curl in there. Beautiful use of production and inflection of tone. I love what Tyler does on this song. It's one of my favorite on the album and one that I continue to go back for. This is something I will definitely be bumping in the gym. Next, we get Annoyed. This song has grown on me. The first time I listened to it, I definitely thought it was weird. And I thought it was weird that Tyler selected this one in particular to be one of his singles that he first dropped. I think the way that Tyler projects his voice, he fluctuates it and quickly pivots through his flows in this song is super crazy, and it's a crazy experience. I think it shows his talent of almost multitasking in a verse. He raps his ass off, and it feels like a freestyle on a modernized classic beat. Darling I, it's got. I think this is my favorite song on the album. Tizo Touchdown, Tyler the Creator. You get this beautiful, feels like this romantic story, loving song. The storytelling on this is great. I love it. I think it's great that Tyler gives perspective into kind of like having multiple different women, almost being in love with different women. I think it just brings you through the journey of what Tyler is going through. I love this, and it's one of those songs that you pick up on different lyrics the more you listen to it, and it's just a feel good song in my opinion. I think it was very well executed. It reminds me of an Igor, but modernized in a sense too. Hey Jane, this is a storytelling song that I really mess with. Obviously the story about them finding out they get pregnant, all the different emotions. He brings his perspective to it, then he flips it. The beat stops for a second, and then it flips into the female version of her emotions and her perspective and Jane's perspective, which is super interesting. Something that we don't really see, and conceptually, I think it's really, really strong. And I really enjoy this one. It's not really a song I'd bump on the daily, but it's a song I'll remember on this album for sure because of the story that Tyler tells in ways obviously much different. It reminds me of how he story tells on a song like Wilshire, right? Like he has always been able to story tell. I think he's underrated in that sense, and needs to give more credit for what he does on the mic with his storytelling. I Killed You. This is a one song I don't like. I know some people really liked it, but it's just kind of like a jingle song to me. And I understand the concept of it. I just don't really love the production or the repetitiveness of the song. Going to Judge Judy. Another storytelling song about a woman. Common thing about different women in his life is definitely it's very sexual song, but it's very slow, laid back, acoustic production, which is super nice to listen to. About minute 40, you'll see the song start to pick up a little bit, and it makes you kind of want to dance. The shaky vocals I feel like are super purposeful in this song, especially because it's like him trying to confess this kind of like I don't know, like love, like teen fever kind of feeling. So I love Judge Judy. I think it's a very interesting song on the album. Going to Sticky, a lot of people have hated on this song, and I disagree. I think this song is really interesting. Glorilla, Sexy Red, two features I did not expect, and I like it. I think it's such, from a sound perspective, it's so unique. It's so different than anything I feel like I've heard from Tyler, and I love all the verses. I think they all came together really well. I think they're purposeful in why he chose their sounds. Lil Wayne brings a really nice verse. Lil Wayne brings the heat on any Tyler the Creator song, and he didn't disappoint on this one either. It feels like a cypher song. Tyler finishes that out with a fire ass verse. It's kind of slow at the beginning, the whistling in the beginning, and the repetitiveness of sticky, sticky. Like that is so repetitive, and I don't like it at first, but I love all the switch ups. I love the experience it brings you on through the production. I think it's just an amazing song, and I can't wait to see this song be performed live. Take Your Mask Off, another feel good production, but again, there's some storytelling behind it. It's obviously about a man hiding sexuality and taking your mask off. I appreciate that Tyler takes the time to always include these types of songs on the album, with the storytelling, the many different wavelengths of it, and his perspective is always so interesting and it's unique. And he kind of takes us through the journey. Super catchy chorus. I think it's really nice to hear that. Again, another Daniel Caesar feature, which was super interesting. Going to Tomorrow, another acoustic, light composed production with soft vocals. And Tyler completely just like brings in a car as fast as he can. And it's like opposite of the beat, but it works and it feels so raw and you can feel the emotion. I feel like it almost enhances the emotion Tyler's trying to convey on this song. And I love it for that reason. Going to Thought I Was Dead. Another one of the songs that was released before the album. I enjoyed this one more of the two. We see the intense raw Tyler again. I love that we go back and forth between, Tyler's ability to rap with emotion and fierce ferociousness and back to, melodic, singy, lovey-dovey Tyler. Schoolboy Q brings a nice verse to it. The synth is a very unique element to this song and somehow feels like the snippet will always remind you of the album, similar to how I said Saint Chroma will always remind me of this album. I think Thought I Was Dead and the type of production it brought will also remind me of this album. Like him, the piano production makes the song feel hopeless, almost sad, like the theme of the song. Like he'll never be looking like him. And I think that's again purposeful. Like he doesn't like his lyrics are good, but they're not like crazy. Like they're almost repetitive, but the production speaks the journey on this one. And I love it for that reason. In the end, you'll see this fast paced beat also come into play, and it feels like that was placed for pure experience of the sound, and I think it was really well produced. Into Balloon, this feels like the start of a movie, like in terms of the production and the sound that it brings. Tyler's rapping performance on this and delivery are so on point, and Dochi brings a lot of energy on a super ferocious verse. Um, Not my favorite song on the album though, actually. I hope you find your way home. I like the way it ended. I think the dog barking, then the electronic, slow moving beat brings you the almost this psychedelic feel. Bring in the synth, and it's again an atmospheric production experience and super well produced as always. Another really great rapping performance by Tyler, where it feels like he gives it all in his verse. All right, going to lyrics, I think Tyler's ability to storytell is top notch, and it's not credited for enough. Conceptually, it's sound. Tyler gave insight in so many different songs. If he wasn't giving spot on lyrics, he made sure your production was making you feel the emotions he wanted you to feel. He understands the effect delivery and passion has in affecting lyrics, and he is a master at it. While I continue to listen to this album, I will continue to learn and understand the different meanings of it. I love the lyric and conceptuality of this. 8.8 out of 10. Going to On Point production, it's consistent. It's the best way to describe this album in terms of production. There was maybe one or two production choices that I wasn't in love with. For example, I Killed You and Balloon. And even then, I understood why he chose those songs and why to include them and the production choices behind them. Tyler has a knack for producing and continues to evolve his sound. So many chill synth beats in this album. As somebody who is historically not like the synth, Tyler has proven to me that it can be used in a cool, not annoying way. 8.2 out of 10. Glorious flows. Tyler's rapping was extremely solid. We saw a great variety of flows. His best, in my opinion, was his raw ferociousness that we saw in his intense style. His melodies were not as good as we've seen them in the past, and it's something I think he could improve on, but I think it was purposeful in why they were not solid. Give me 7.9 out of 10 for this. Immediate hits. This album will age like fine wine. I'm telling you now. It already has for me. I can see a song like Sticky or Darling I blowing up for Tyler plans across the mainstream, although I have heard rumors that Sticky isn't the song. Tyler always comes with hits and always has hits for his community. Will be interesting to see which song becomes the iconic hit on this album. There wasn't an earthquake or See You Again or even a Hot Wind Blows. 8.1 out of 10. Content matter, I'm impressed. Per usual, this album continues to grow on me as I understand it more. It's hard to point out weaknesses on this album. The biggest one I mentioned may be that there's not that iconic song, but I think that's to come. The rollout, the concept were all great. Tyler is crazy when it comes to delivering a specific tone, mood, atmosphere in an album. He did it again here. 9 out of 10 for a total score of 8.4 out of 10. As always, form your own opinion. Let me know where I went wrong. I love your guys' comments. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now into sports. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second part of the podcast. You just listened to the Chromakopia album review. Now we got Mr. Caden Walsh on. It is crazy that we are about halfway through the season already. It does not feel like that. I feel like the season just started still. But we're at 8 games. Yes, there's that weird number of 17 now, so we don't get it exact. But I still consider this the halfway point. Crazy season so far. Caden, are you excited to have these midseason awards? This is the second annual Logical Nonsense midseason awards. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. We made it a whole year. Second annual, that's exciting. Like you're saying, season's flying. Feels like we were just talking about, Chiefs,
Yep.
Ravens, crazy ending to start the year. And now here we are. Things are
Yep.
starting to unfold. Paths are starting to be unveiled for teams, and excited to see where you stand, where I stand here halfway through the year.
Totally. What has surprised you most about this season? I didn't have this question on here, but before we get started with the awards, what has surprised you most, if anything?
I think just the way games have been played this year. It seems like a totally unique season in some of the results we're getting, some of the ways teams are coming out or came out, and the way they're progressing throughout the season. It's like a total mix-up. If you did preseason power rankings, I'm sure they're on top of everyone's head for the most part from where we started. So it's been an exciting, fun season.
Totally. No, and I mean, I think what's most surprising to me is just like the teams I just didn't see coming, which I think is what makes the NFL what it is, right? Like the Vikings, I didn't see them being good this year. I didn't see the Commanders being good this year. Both teams have really stepped up in big ways. And I know we'll get into it probably a little bit with some of the awards here, but yeah, I think to your point, the way games are, it seems more strategic this year. I think that's the best way to put it. I feel like there's actually been some really good coaching this year, and there's been some really shitty coaching this year. And there's been teams that have started slow that I thought would pick it up and really haven't, which I'm sure we'll get to too. 49ers, good one. So anyways, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. That was a brutal blow to a Cowboys fan. Sorry about that. But let's start with our first award. We kick it off. We have the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I have a feeling we both have the same choice, but take it away.
It's unique to have a bunch of really good rookie quarterbacks this year. I think across the board, most quarterbacks have played decently well. compared to what we might have thought they have. And, for myself, I looked at Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and Bo Nix as the three guys really for this award. Obviously, I think we're both going to have Jaden Daniels. He's playing at an absolutely elite level right now. 1736 passing yards, 424 on the ground, and willing the Commanders' offense to be what they are. And shout out to Bo Nix and what he's done at Denver after a slow start to the season. He's really turned around. He's played really well. And I think any controversy that people might have had between Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels was settled in this last week for sure.
Totally. No, I mean, head-to-head rookies, you gotta. I mean, that's kind of it. I'm also gonna give it to Jaden Daniels. I don't think like we were just talking about. I didn't expect the Commanders to be really anything this year. I honestly thought Jaden Daniels would come onto this team. They struggle a little bit. They made good offseason moves. I didn't expect them to be like god awful. I just figured they'd struggle a little bit, especially with a young QB. Daniels has looked composed. There's a lot of comparisons, I feel like, because we saw what CJ Stroud did. There's a lot of comparisons there. I love what Jaden Daniels is doing, both on the ground and through the air. He's tough. This last game, he had a rib injury, throws a Hail Mary to end the game. That's crazy. So I think, in terms of that, you got to give it to Jaden Daniels just because of how he's gotten this team to just click. His offense is clicking. He's a leader. He's looking so composed. And the stats back it up, too. He's one of the top QBs, period, across the league right now. He looks solid across the board. Yeah, I think you got to give it to Jaden Daniels, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the award at the end of the year either. I think he has to be the front runner. Other guys I want to shout out, like you said, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix. They have both turned it around. Bo Nix, I was hesitant about. I'm still a little hesitant about, and this is probably the Broncos in me being hesitant. But the reason I'm hesitant about him is Broncos have had not easy, but easier schedule for the last 4 or 5 games. He has stepped it up, and so I hope he can continue to improve that. But I'll be curious going forward how he plays against those tougher teams. Like I think we got the Ravens and the Bengals and the Browns on this schedule, and I'll be curious to see how we handle teams from the AFC North for that matter. Oh, also, sorry, I forgot to also honorable mention Malik Neighbors, I think, is a good one here. He's a great shout out. I think Brian Thomas is another kid that we've seen kind of step up in big ways. Brian Thomas has really hit the accelerator. I thought he was going to be solid wide receiver. But if I'm being honest, a receiver that I thought was going to be like Brian Thomas, who wasn't, was Adonai Mitchell. And he's not playing bad by any means, but he just didn't step into the role that I thought he was going to. And that might be because they have that sorry-ass receiver, Anthony Richardson, or not receiver, sorry-ass QB, Anthony Richardson, who wants to take himself out of the game at the end of the quarter. But, yeah, anything else you want to say?
No, I like Malik Neighbors. I feel like he has been a pleasant surprise for Giants fans after losing their offensive production in Saquon. So I like that. A little disappointed by Marvin Harrison this season for the Cardinals. He had one big that big breakout game in week 2, and then from there it's been kind of just mediocre play. But you never count him out. He's a great athlete. So I feel like once they figure that out in Arizona, he'll be playing at a higher level than he's shown so far through the season.
And Arizona's in a good position right now. So they have every chance to be good. They're frisky. They've been pulling off wins that they shouldn't be pulling off. And, I think that was a lot of sleeper picks for a lot of people. And, in the first few games, through 5 weeks, I was like, all right, maybe this team, it just has bad luck of the draw, but they've been able to pull it away. So I'll be curious to see if they can utilize Marvin Harrison. Porous, I feel like from a running back standpoint, I feel like this isn't the greatest running back class.
Yeah.
The one that stands out to me is like Braylon Allen, but he hasn't even been playing that great. Like he's been a key role, but hasn't been that breakout rookie running back. All right, let's go to the defensive side of things. Defensive rookie. I think I'm gonna give it to Jared Verse. Jared Verse has had an incredible year. Leatu Latu's another one. Beanie Bishop, I think is his name. He's looked like a lockdown corner guy that was not on my radar. I'm curious who this award goes to at the end of the year because I feel like it's really anybody's game. Defensively this year, the rookie class, I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it's not as strong as let's say like last year or even like Aiden Hutchinson, Zier. Like I just feel like it's not as strong of a defensive class as maybe I thought it was going to be, especially with all the corners that were drafted in this class. So I'll be curious, but yeah, I think I'm going to give it to Mr. Jared Verse.
I think I'll agree with you there. Between him and Latu, they both have 2 sacks, a couple forced fumbles. Verse has 15 more total tackles combined. I also want to shout out Kenyon Mitchell from the Eagles, their corner that they got.
Yeah. Kenyon Mitchell,
yeah, 26 total tackles, 6 pass breakups. Looking for an interception still, but he's been playing solid too. But on the lines of what you said, it's just a bunch of like role players. It feels like with all these guys, no one's really set themselves up for stardom quite yet, but they're all developing, and so we'll see how they go. But yeah, this award, a couple breakout weeks for any of these guys, and they put themselves as a front runner.
Totally, and I think like I said, Beanie Bishop, like he's a guy that I think is like on the radar just because of the last 2 games. So I'll be curious to see where this goes. I like the Quinyon Mitchell shout out. He has been looking good for the Eagles, and they've needed him to look good. Honestly, Darius Slay, I don't know what the fuck he's been doing this year, but interesting. All right, let's go to our next award. I'm very curious. Surprisingly good player award.
For me, I had a couple players that I thought in mind, and right off bat, I thought Sam Darnold. I didn't think he was gonna play to the level that he did. And for the Vikings, they've dropped a few. They've been close losses. He hasn't looked terrible in those games, but through the first 5 weeks, we're talking like MVP frontrunner almost for the way he was playing. So that was a good surprise. Another one I'm going to shout out, he's only played 2 games, but Russell Wilson, through his 2 starts, 542 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's looked way better in Pittsburgh than he did for Denver. So those are kind of the 2 guys I'm looking at. I'm going to give mine to Sam Darnold for the way he's, given a Vikings team that was expected to be terrible this year, a prominent team now in the NFC.
Yeah, I think it's got to go to Sam Darnold. I love the Russell Wilson shout out. Another guy who looked really good last week, and if we were doing our, rate the games, I'd definitely be talking about this guy a lot. Jameis Winston, last game, hella good game against this Ravens team. I'll be very curious to see if he can, because this Browns team is better when it's just functioning. Like, I think they're a solid team, but they just needed somebody to fucking manage. And that's what Joe Flacco did for them this last year. And so I'm excited that we get to see a Browns team that is frisky now because of Jameis Winston. I know Jameis turns the ball over a lot. I think there was only 1 dropped pick, but I don't think he actually threw one last week. I could be wrong on that. No. He looked really solid. He was moving the offense. He could be this surprisingly good player at the end of the year. This isn't a real award that they give out, but Jameis, who knows? I think that's a good one. I'm trying to think of any other players that I could shout out. Is there anybody else on your radar that you can think of?
Oh, is the Giants running back? Is it Tracy?
Yeah, Tracy's been solid,
the last couple of starts, he's been a little, diamond in the rough, kind of a gem for them. So, but I didn't even hardly know who he was until about 2 weeks ago. So he's picked up for the Giants, which is good for them.
I think another good one is Jordan Mason. He's 3rd in rushing. Obviously, CMC is down, and San Francisco is a running team. That's just their DNA. They know how to run the ball. But I really didn't expect him to just take off the way he has and really be the leader of their team, because even when San Francisco has had players go down, they're more of a run-by-committee team, and they really haven't been. They've really been leaning on him, and shout out to Jordan Mason and just being able to take on that hefty role.
Another guy I just thought of, Packers tight end Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, Tucker Kraft.
Bro, out of nowhere. He's probably, I think he's like tight end 1 in fantasy for all the fantasy people out there right now or something crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good one. And then also a guy that stepped up for the Lions, did he just get suspended again? Jamison Williams. He's been a guy. He got suspended again, right?
Yeah, 2 games.
Yeah, he before he got suspended, he was playing really good
Mhm.
football, and he was becoming a really good option for Jared Goff. Didn't matter for the Lions last game, but another weapon for Jared Goff to use, especially after he kind of had a slow start to his career. We didn't really see him take off in the way I think a lot of people thought he would, just because he's such a athlete and explosive being. But another good, surprisingly good player. But Sam Darnold, he's still being himself. 2 games where they lost now in a row, but I think this Vikings team is solid. Offense of the year for a team. Yeah, this one's tough. Because I think there's a lot of good options here. I really like the Lions offense right now. I really like the Ravens offense right now. And I really like the Commanders offense right now. I like the pick of going to the Commanders though, because this offense clicks so much with when they got rid of so many of their weapons. Terry McLaurin's still there, but you think about like they got rid of Curtis Samuel, they got rid of they traded away all these assets, and this offense is clicking. They have a 3-headed monster at the running back. Jaden Daniel, well, almost a 4-headed monster because you got Jaden Daniels who can run too. That's scary. They're putting up points after week. This last week wasn't a good example of that, but I just love how this offense looks. It's hard for teams to manage it. Like they're putting up good numbers against good defenses, and I'm excited. They're a fun team. I love this offense, and I love what the Cliff Kingsbury is doing with his young quarterback there.
Like you said, tough choice. I was between the Commanders, the Lions, and the Bucks.
Ooh, Bucks is a good one. Okay.
Yeah, but with injuries to the Bucks roster, it's kind of hard to keep them up there. They're missing Godwin's done. Mike
Yep.
Evans is out till week 11.
Yep.
So they're really, whoever they can throw into the fire
Yeah.
is getting thrown, and they're still putting up points with whoever
Yeah.
they got. Otten played good last week. He's got involved a lot more. I would have said them. I like the Lions offense a lot. Every person on that team is a weapon. And
Totally.
it's the way their system works. The play calls seems like perfect. So I'm gonna give my offense, to the Lions. The way they attack. You got Jahmyr Gibbs if you want to go fast, up tempo, and then you got Montgomery if you want to pound the rock. So for me, it's the Lions. The trick plays definitely add the aspect to them. So, but between them and the Commanders, they're both scoring 30 points a game. They're just up and down the field. So I'll go to Lions, but just barely over the Commanders.
Yeah, the Lions probably would have been my number 2 pick. Number 3 for me would have been the Ravens. The Ravens are an interesting team for this conversation too, because weeks 1 through 3, I was like, what the fuck is happening with this team? Recently, they look unstoppable on offense. Lamar has played out of his fucking mind. He has to be front runner for MVP right now. I know we'll get to that award later, but he's passing the ball better than I've ever seen him pass it. And obviously he can run it too. So that's ridiculous. I feel like unlocked a new tier on passing that I haven't seen him do. So I think you got to also give credit for the Ravens, but yeah, I like your pick with the Lions. They've been doing some crazy things lately. All right, going to our defense of the year.
This one, I'm going to have to give it to the undefeated team. And this is the only reason they're undefeated is because this Chiefs defense wins them games. When the offense couldn't click, the defense held it down just enough for, those last second drives for Mahomes. And now the offense has started to play a little bit better. I feel like, I don't know, this Chiefs defense is bend, don't break a lot of the times. I saw it in the Raiders game. The Raiders got the interception down to the goal line, 1st and goal on the 1, didn't score. And that's just the principle that the Chiefs defense brings every week. Spagnoli's a great defensive coordinator. He blitzes out of his ass. They're only allowing, 17 points a game. So for me, it's the Chiefs because their defense is the only reason they're undefeated. And that's why I have them over teams like the Chargers, who are only allowing 13 points a game, and the Broncos, who are allowing 15. Those are my top 3 But I just think the Chiefs are at just a different level than those teams.
So you said Chiefs,
Yep.
Packers, Broncos, correct?
Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers were my other
Chargers.
team. Yeah, they're
Chargers.
only allowing 13, but their offense is only scoring like 17.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
like, and they keep them in games, but I don't think they're at the same level as some of these other defenses.
Yeah. Oh, I think like the Broncos are a good one, just because they've been so dominant. But again, I think you got to look at schedule there. Just the teams they've been playing. They have held teams. This one's really tough for me. I think I'm still gonna go with my gut that I said a few weeks ago. I'm gonna go with the Vikings. This defense, I know it's looked lackluster, not lackluster. I would say even they've looked tired the last two games, in my opinion. But I still think their schemes are just ridiculous this year. What Brian Flores has done with that defense this year is insane. Especially like you look at their defensive roster, and there's no guys that like necessarily super jump out at you, and guys have just stepped up and been really fucking solid for them. And they've beaten really good teams too. You know, teams that have really good offenses. So I think I'm going to give it to the Vikings for that reason. I do like your pick though. I also think another good one is the Bears to talk about.
Yeah.
They've had a really good defense. You know, we talked about offense of the year. I just gave it to Commanders. They held the Commanders to technically 18 points. Should have been less than that if, you know, fucking Jaden Daniels doesn't Hail Mary Aaron Rodgers style at the end of the game. But I think that's another good team that you could talk about there. There's been some really good defense. Steelers, another team that I think has a really solid defense, has consistently looked good week after week. So any other defenses you want to talk about?
Steelers are good. I think the Browns will start to see them be a better defense now that they're not going to be on the field 900 plays a game. Like they look good against the Ravens for the most. Like they did the best they could, but when they're not on the field every play, they can be dominant on defense.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, I like that one too. All right. Let's go to the Old Man Award. This award, I didn't even really explain it to you. So this award is somebody who has been around in the league for a while. They're still doing their thing. You know, some old men candidates, potentially. You know what I'm going to say? Mr. Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
There's Flacco. He's technically still in the league, so you got to throw him out there. I don't think he deserves it. Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford. There's some good old heads in the league right now.
Because I think I know who you're going to pick. Maybe.
What do you think I'm going to pick?
No. I mean, it's obviously got to be your boy Flacco.
Yeah. I knew. Yeah. It's got to be Flacco. Flacco, I don't know why they sat him. I'll be honest. Richardson has played like shit this year. And his performance this last game showed everything. He was like 2 for 17 last game at the first half. It was awful. And he's gotten his team pretty much all their wins, if we're being honest. And I think he could have probably gotten them a win against the Texans had he played the whole game. So I'm giving it a Flacco. He's been cruising. Another guy who could be considered for this award, Kirk Cousins. He's been playing really solid. He's looked really solid the last few weeks too. But I got to give it to Flacco.
I know. It's weird how we're always in this conversation where Flacco plays, they win, and then we're like, why did the Browns get rid of him? Why are the Colts benching him? And then he just comes back every time, and he'll just get him a win, and he just finds ways. And I don't know why teams keep neglecting him. But I also like Stafford as a shout out. He always plays well, and I think the Rams are going to start getting things cooking here a little bit. Big win over the Vikings. They got Kupp and Nakua back. They looked a lot better last week. So I think, give them a couple more weeks, and I think Stafford can have another very solid year for the Rams.
Guy on the other side of the ball that has consistently always had a great season, I feel like Bobby Wagner. 69 tackles on the year already. He's still freaking being a beast. He's the leader of that Commanders defense. I think that's a good shout out as well. All right, we're cruising through these. Coach of the year.
So I think I had 3 coaches I was kind of looking between here. I had Dan Quinn, Dan Campbell, and Kevin O'Connell.
Yep.
And for me, it's going to be Dan Quinn. the way that he's elevated this Commanders roster, all the pieces he put together. It's all the synergy is there. They're winning games. They're already doing way better than anticipated. And I think the biggest separator for me is seeing where the Cowboys are at now without Dan Quinn.
True.
Because they dropped off and then immediately the Commanders took off. So
Yep.
that kind of difference really shows his value as a head coach and where they're at now. So I'm going to go Dan Quinn for my coach of the year at the moment.
Yeah, this is a very tough one. I really like your Dan Quinn testimony, if you will. I think that's a really, really good point that you bring up. I also think Dan Quinn, like, people kind of forgot about him, like with the Falcons, because like he did a really fucking good job with the Falcons. Got him to a Super Bowl. You know, they should have won that Super Bowl. He would be a Super Bowl winning coach had Tom Brady not showed up in that game. I like the Dan Quinn one. I really like your other two candidates. Dan Campbell has consistently looks like a good coach for this team. He's turned this Lions team around. You know, 4 or 5 years ago, they were dog shit, as we know. Not even 4 or 5, like 3 years ago. That's a really good one. Kevin O'Connell has done a phenomenal job. Going with none of those guys. I'm going out of right field. This isn't right field. I'm going to go with Andy Reid, 7-0. And it doesn't feel like they should be 7-0. And I think when I look how the Chiefs have been playing, it's smart football. They manage games extremely well. They know how to win, and they're coached extremely well. They have had so many injuries on the offensive side of the ball, and their defense continues to propel them into wins. As you said, they are defensive team of the year candidate. And I think they just coach solidly across the board. Another coach I want to highlight, this is boring, I know this, Mike Tomlin. Steelers, again, people are calling for Mike Tomlin's head, and I don't fucking know why. We say this every year. He's done it again. Oh, the Steelers will go 50-50. They're not going to be. I'm sorry, they're not. They're just – this team is so well coached. They have the fundamentals, special teams, defense. They're the best at it. Every year after year, they are the best at special teams and defense, if not top 5 conversation in those two areas. And I think that goes to show what Mike Tomlin is made of, what his culture is like there too. But I think Andy Reid is in a very similar realm to Mike Tomlin in that sense. This team has no business being 7-0. Patrick Mahomes has had probably the worst season we've seen him have, in my opinion, and they're still winning games. They're going to the waiver wire. They're making moves still. They just picked up Uche, I think, from the Patriots. They picked up DeAndre Hopkins. Waiver wire kings. They go and pick up Kareem Hunt. Those are good fucking moves, man. I don't know what the fuck everyone else is doing in the NFL, letting these guys just go to the Chiefs. But this is why the Chiefs win year after year. And it wouldn't be surprising me if we're talking at the end of the year, wow, they've won 3 straight. Because they're not at their peak, in my opinion. They aren't. They're not playing their best football yet, which is scary. But they're a very well-coached team, and I got to give it to Andy Reid.
I respect that. Yeah. It's just so hard, right? Because the Chiefs have been so good for so long. So
No,
like, oh, yeah, he's coach of the year, right? Usually coach of the year is a guy that just flips a franchise on their head.
Totally.
No,
I respect the Commanders pick a lot. I really like the Dan Quinn pick a lot. And I really like the Kevin O'Connell pitch. You know, you can make a similar pitch to Kevin O'Connell. A lot of guys, you know, start of the year, freaking McCaffrey, the guy McCarthy, the guy they thought was going to start, he goes down right away. That's tough to transition and pivot so quickly from him. And I mean, they're sitting at 5-2 in a really tough division. All right, most fun to watch team.
I'm going to throw a curveball here too. So I think it's easy to say the Lions, you know, with the way they play football and the way they switch things up, or the Commanders. I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins, Kirko Chains. Give me the Falcons. The last 4 weeks, they've been fun to watch. He's swag surfing in Atlanta. They're putting up points. He's getting, you know, Pitts involved, Mooney involved. Their defense, they're fun to watch. They're fast. They might not be the best, but they're fast and they're fun. And they got a Montana boy, Troy Anderson, you know, defensive player of the week nationally twice this year, leading them. So I like what's going on in Atlanta right now.
That's a good one. I really like that one. Fun team. I didn't pick them earlier, so I got to give the Lions some sort of award. I got to go with the Lions. I've said this before. I just think the trick plays they bring, the special team returns, like it just feels like whenever you watch a game of theirs, something exciting is going to happen.
Yep.
And I think that's why people root for the Lions. Like even if you're not a Lions fan, like unless you're like NFC North fan, like you kind of root for the Lions on the side just because like one, they've been bad for so long, but two, like they're just a fun team to watch. Dan Campbell's a fun coach to root for. Jared Goff is a good guy. Like he's so efficient. Jahmyr Gibbs is out of this world as an athlete. David Montgomery, underappreciated. He might be getting the respect finally, but he's underappreciated. Amon-Ra St. Brown, crazy. Then you get this defense that's, I mean, it's just so well coached on defense, in my opinion. And Anzalone, dirty player. Never know what's going to happen from him. So, I think I got to give it a Lions. It's a boring answer, but I think it's a good answer.
Yeah, when Jahmyr Gibbs starts hitting the Genty pose in the backfield like 3 weeks ago, and now his numbers are just off the chart. It's just, against my Cowboys, they ran like 4 trick plays to O linemen.
Yeah,
they're fun.
I mean, they keep like reinventing the reel on those trick plays too. So keep them coming, man. Trick plays, I think, need to be more. What's the word? Spread across the league. Like I think it should be more normalized. I guess like if they're executed correctly, they usually work.
Yep. Bubble screen, hook and ladder to a O lineman to Amon-Ra. That was crazy creativity. You can be as creative as you want to, which is the best part.
Yep. I love trick plays. So, all right, let's go to our defensive player of the year so far.
This sucks because I think if Aiden Hutchinson doesn't get hurt, he's probably
we should be talking about him,
yeah, should be the front runner. And it's such a shitty injury that he had because I think this was his award this year to win. The way he was firing out of the gates. And now, there's still some solid players. TJ Watt, obviously up there, always going to be up there, no matter what. Just the heart and soul of the Steelers. He's 33 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. Dexter Lawrence for the Giants is having an amazing year, 9 sacks on the year. And then Xavier McKinney for the Packers, 6 interceptions, 36 total tackles. He has a sack.
Will McDonald.
Surtain for the Broncos, your cornerback. You might not have like the numbers, right, but no one's getting catches on him.
And I think if he doesn't get hurt, he's a more serious contender. More serious contender for this award too. So go ahead though.
I'm gonna go Dexter Lawrence right now. Why not? 9 sacks, holding it down for the Giants. It's probably not the favorite. I think TJ Watt probably is, but he's been just playing phenomenal football at the moment.
He's disruptive and he's doing things at the defensive tackle that are insane. With Aaron Donald gone, you can make the argument that it's between him and, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name, Chiefs D tackle, Chris Jones. I think it's between him and Chris Jones for best D tackle in the league right now, between those two. Dexter Lawrence is being an incredible football player on that side of the field, and the Giants really needed him to be. I really like the Xavier McKinney shout out because I feel like he's saved their ass in so many games. I think I'm going to go there. I think McKinney has just been locked down, and he's doing things at the safety position that are not fun to deal with if you're a QB. And 6 picks on the year. He looks like the leader of this defense. I think he's a big reason why this defense is as tough as it is, just because of the way he leads. So I'm going to go with Xavier McKinney. But Dexter Lawrence is a great pick. TJ Watt, to your point, is obviously a great pick. He's always disruptive. He's always getting the QB. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it at the end of the year. All right. Offensive player of the year. This is not MVP, so they can't be the same.
No.
Just putting that out there. Offensive player of the year, I'm going to give it to Derrick Henry. Almost 1,000 yards rushing already, and we're only in week 8. he's unstoppable. He's on my fantasy team, and I fucking love it. He's rejuvenated. The king is back. The reign is back. He gets better as the game goes on.
Yeah.
That's what's scary about him. I love what he's doing on the ground. It's, you would think with the amount of times he gets hit in a game, he would just freaking tumble by that game is over. And it seems like he always has a clutch play at the end of the game. You always see him break off for a 40-yard run or a 60-yard run at the end of the game. And what's scary about this 6'4" mammoth of a human being is that when he gets going, no one's catching up. His top speed is nutso. It's ridiculous what he's doing in Baltimore right now. It's exactly what Baltimore needed. Derrick Henry, I love watching you, giving it to him.
I'm so glad he's been able to rejuvenate himself after, it seemed like he didn't not care in Tennessee. It's like when he was at Tennessee, it'd be like one defender and he's tackled. And now we're getting 4, 5 defenders to bring one guy down, Derrick Henry again, which you love to see. I think he's almost in a realm of his own right now for this award. My other shout out, Saquon Barkley. He's 766 rushing yards, really 5 touchdowns. He should have probably 9 or 10 if, Jalen didn't steal every single one from the 1 yard line. Yeah. And no, thanks, Jalen, for stealing all of them. But, Saquon's had a good year, really good year for the Eagles. Kieran Williams for the Rams was another guy I was thinking of. He's got a lot of touchdowns this season, really held it down when everyone else was injured for them. But Derrick Henry is he's the king, and he's back on top of his throne.
Yep. I love it. I love the way you put that too. So now we go to our MVP. Who's it going to go to?
This sucks because I'm going to look at Josh Allen and I'm going to look at his stats, right? And I'm like, okay, 1,800 passing yards, 14 touchdowns, finally threw his first interception, last game, plus, 200 on the ground, 3 touchdowns. And I'm like, that is an MVP start to a season, right? Surely there's no one out there that does better. And then I look at a guy who's won MVP twice, who's having his best damn season that I've ever seen. And that's Lamar Jackson. 2,100 passing yards for a running back, right? Running back. 17 passing touchdowns plus another 500 on the ground. And, Derrick Henry's doing so good, you'd think, oh, they're getting away from the passing game. No, this is the best this passing attack's looked in forever. So, Josh Allen, I'm sorry. I really want you to win MVP, man, but this is the best Lamar's ever looked.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it has to go to Lamar. It's the scariest he's ever looked. It's the best he's ever looked as a quarterback, I don't know about a runner, but definitely as a quarterback all around. He's making video game throws week after week. It feels like his highlights, my God. And then that dropped pass last week, if he just, he's doing things with his receivers when his receivers aren't that good. And that's what I love about his season this year. He deserves more than he did last year. And I don't think he deserved it last year. Whatever, come at me. I don't really give a fuck. Say I don't watch football. I don't really care. Lamar Jackson this year deserves it. And that's because he is playing at an elite level. And what he's doing isn't being matched anywhere else. And I think another guy, I really liked what you said about Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen, had it not been for the 14 fucking drops against the Texans, probably be higher in this conversation for MVP. The other guy, though, that I want to give props to just for efficiency reasons, Jared Goff. He's been insane this year. He's had a perfect game. He's had games where he's had 3 incompletions. He's not top of the leaderboard in passing yards by any means. But that's because he typically doesn't have to play that kind of ball. He's just being efficient. I love what he's doing on the field right now. I love his direction. He has a 74 completion rating. We're 8 games in. That's fucking nuts. Are you kidding me, Jared Goff? That is so efficient. He's not turning the ball over. he did at the beginning of the year. He hasn't really since. I think he only has 4 picks. Not bad at all, man. I think that's another guy I want to shout out. But it's got to go to Lamar. I don't see how you can make an argument for anyone else above him. Best team.
It's got to be the Lions. I sat here contemplating, but I just think all around this Lions team is the best. I think they're probably the best coached overall team in all aspects of the game. I think they know how to win. It doesn't ever feel like they're going to go in a game and get blown out of a game. Like, I think they're, even at their worst, they will be there right at the end with a chance to win every game. And I think it'd be fun to see them and the Ravens in a Super Bowl, or them and probably the Chiefs in a Super Bowl. I think that's kind of the direction we're heading. But I think the Lions are that next level team and the best this season.
Yeah, I completely agree. Both sides of the ball. I mean, it's hard to find weaknesses on this team right now. And I think you can find weaknesses on the Ravens. I think you can find weaknesses on the Chiefs. It's hard to point out a weakness on the Lions team right now. And when that happens, I think you got to give it to them. Like you said, really well coached. Just talked about Jared Goff's efficiency. Just talked about David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs and their efficiency. Like, this team's ridiculous. It's a nightmare for teams right now. They beat a team. They dethroned the Vikings. They annihilated the Titans this last week. It's unmatched in the league right now, and I could totally actually see them making a Super Bowl run.
Mm-hmm.
That is it for our awards, but you know how we end things here. Rapid fire picks, baby. I've had 2 great weeks. This week, I think I went like 13-2, I think. And the week before that, I went like similar. I think it was like 12-2. We've been having some great mojo over here. I predicted the Patriots to beat the Jets. I felt like that was a great upset pick there. I don't believe in Aaron Rodgers. All right. Starting with Thursday Night Football, 2 days. Texans versus the Jets. Who you got?
Go with the Texans. Sorry, Rodgers.
You got to go with the Texans. Yeah. Especially, I'll be curious to see if Nico comes back this game.
Yeah,
Cowboys versus Falcons.
Falcons. Well, hope is gone.
Against this team right now. I'm going with the Falcons as well. Dolphins, Bills.
Bills.
Don't be surprised if the Dolphins upset the Bills, though.
Yep.
Raiders, Bengals.
Joe Burr, we need 7 out of 9. Starts right here. Bengals.
Yeah, also give me the Bengals. Chargers, Browns.
Go with the Browns. Give me some Winston love here.
Yep. I think this is where we start to hear the rumblings. I'm also going with the Browns here. Patriots, Titans. What a shit show of a game.
Go with the Patriots, I guess. I don't really know.
I don't know on this one. Tennessee's favored. I'll go with the Titans. I don't feel good about it, though. Commanders, Giants.
Commanders.
Give me the Commanders as well. Saints, Panthers.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Panthers here. Fuck it.
Bryce Young, speaking of which, didn't play awful for once. So I see the pick. Is Derek Carr back? I don't think it matters. Give me the Panthers.
Yeah.
Wow. Jags, Eagles.
I'm just going to keep rolling upsets here. Why not the Jags? Give me
Eagles looked good last week.
Yeah, they did look good, but
give me the Eagles. I'll go Eagles. Bears, Cards.
Oh, it's
1-point favorites. Arizona.
Close. I'm going to go with the Bears. I think their defense is too good.
I'm also going to go with the Bears. Yeah. Lions, Packers.
I don't know if Jordan Love's going to play, so I'm going to go with the Lions, but I can see the Packers winning this at home.
Yeah, I know,
the Lions.
Right? That's a good point with Love. I'll go with the Lions, though. I don't feel good about it. Rams, Seahawks.
Take the Rams.
going to go with the Seahawks. They looked fucking good last week. Or wait. No, they didn't look good last week. I'm thinking of 2 weeks ago. My fault. I'm going to go with the Seahawks, though. I think they have a bounce-back win. Broncos, Ravens. Oh, God. I don't want to watch this.
Sorry. Lamar, have fun. Actually, we'll see how he does against Broncos defense, but Ravens will win.
I'll go with the Ravens. They're 9.5-point favorites. Crazy. Colts, Vikings on Sunday Night Football.
Joe Flacco.
Who the fuck picked that one?
Oh, fuck. Go Vikings, but it'll be close.
I'm going to go 3 straight losses. Give me the Colts. Upset of the week alert. Bucks, Chiefs.
This is one I just feel like the Chiefs are going to lose this one for some reason. I'm going to go with the Bucks, and even no receivers, they still find a way.
Yeah, it's weird to think like if the Chiefs win, then they'll be 8-0.
Yeah, fuck.
I'll go with the Chiefs, though. Yeah. I'll stick with them. All right, folks, that is our rapid-fire picks for the week. Cade, I appreciate the time you took to go through these awards. We'll see how they play out for the rest of the season. Anything else to say for the pod?
Only thing I can say is if anyone thinks Mahomes should be MVP, don't get out of here.
You're not watching football.
Yeah, what are we doing? The fact that he was like second favorite last week or 2 weeks ago is ridiculous.
He was favorite for a long time.
Yeah, stop the glazing. He's not even a top 10 quarterback statistically.
He just doesn't look like it. Yeah.
Oh, and he's played good the last 2 weeks, but there's at least 4 or 5 quarterbacks that are playing way above that level.
Completely agree.
So I don't want to see him, and I don't want to see any comments saying, "What about Mahomes?" when these come out on TikTok or anything. I don't want to see it.
Noted. Yeah. You heard it here first, folks. All right. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. We're on our road to 1,000. We're at 457 right now. We're getting there. 500 maybe by the end of the year. Who knows? Yep. We'll see. But we appreciate you listening. As always, stay logical and rant that nonsense, baby.